Hi, welcome to New Haven. My name is Hadassah. What's your name?
My name is Simon.
Okay, Simon. Is that what you'd like to go by?
Oh, yes.
Okay, awesome. So how did you make it here today?
I actually was transported through your agency's, I guess, transportation system or whatever kind of thing they have built in, which is really cool. They were the ones who transported me here from my home, which was amazing. So I didn't have to take the bus and be scared and knew exactly where I needed to go.
Okay, that's great. And how was that experience for you?
It was amazing. The woman who drove me here was super sweet. We had a great conversation on the way over here. It was great.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad. Okay. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Well, I am 78 years old. I really love to paint and draw and read. Kind of just really like to do things to fill the time because, as you get older, things kind of start to slow down. It's good to find those things that you can really latch on to and, fill the spaces.
It is really good to find things that you enjoy. That's really awesome. So what kind of things do you paint and draw?
Well, I really love doing landscape art and like nature.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so I really like to do like mountains. There's some really pretty mountains just close to here called Signal Mountain, and that's really beautiful to paint, and like the skyline and the sunsets.
Oh yeah, Tennessee has beautiful all of that, right? Skyline, mountain, sunsets. Wow, that's amazing. And then you said that you like to read too. What kind of things do you like to read?
I really love to read things of all different genres, like fiction and even nonfiction. I really love like documented pieces, and I really like mystery and adventure.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. So, before we get started, I just want to kind of go over the session with you, like how it's going to go. The session is going to be about like around 40 minutes, and we're just going to go over what you came in here for, and then we're going to try to create some goals that are feasible goals. And I also want to mention that in this session, you're going to be the one that's like in charge. So I'll be guiding you through the process, but I'm not going to be telling you what to do, or giving you advice and things like that. Like we're going to come up with suggestions together. Does that sound okay to you?
Sounds lovely.
Okay, awesome. And then also, everything that you tell me here will be kept confidential unless there are some exceptions where I do have to report it, and that would include if it involves harming yourself, harming someone else, harming an older person, a child, or someone with a disability. Does that sound okay to you?
Perfect, yeah.
Okay. So why don't you tell me what brought you in today?
Well, as I mentioned before, I tend to like to do things that really kind of fill the spaces because as I've gotten older, as I've retired, as I've became less physically capable to do things, as my wife passed away, I just really haven't been able to do as much as I used to. And I feel like over the time, like over the years, I've gotten more and more lonely because as you get older, you don't do as much, not able to do as much, don't have as many people. So, yeah.
I can imagine that must be very difficult for you. You mentioned that your wife passed away. When did that happen?
She passed away about a year ago. I'm not like I was very obviously emotionally tore up about it at the time, but now it's more kind of just like kind of when she was here because she was one of those things that was really good to fill the time. She was an amazing woman, and I do miss her cooking.
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah, but it's kind of just gotten to the point where like that's not very traumatic for me anymore, but it's more of like I miss her.
What was your wife's name?
Her name was Susanna.
Susanna. Beautiful name.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
How long were you guys married?
We were married for 56 years.
That is a very long time. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys lived together, I'm assuming?
We did.
Is that in the same house that you are still in right now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So how has that been for you in the past year?
Well, now that she's not around, like I said, it gets really lonely. I don't really have anybody around, all of our kids are grown up, they're all out of the house. They all have families of their own. Mm-hmm. She was kind of my only companion. And the dog, but,
okay. So you're living by yourself, but you have a dog as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's your dog's name?
His name is Ruff, and I know that sounds kind of funny.
I like that. I think it's cute.
Yeah, my oldest son, when he was a kid, actually, well, not my well, he was like 12, but still, he actually named him. So.
Oh wow, that's actually a really nice name. I like it.
Yeah.
And how many children did you have?
We had 3, so we had 2 boys and a girl.
Okay, wow. And so where are those kids at? Like geographically, are you guys spread out pretty far?
Well, it depends. I have my son, my oldest son that I was just mentioning, his name is Steven, and he is in Texas currently with his wife and his 2 kids. And then my daughter, she actually works as a nurse, and her name is Susan, kind of, same with my wife. She works at the local hospital here in the area. And then my other son, his name is Joseph, and he lives in New York. So.
Oh wow! So you have 2 kind of closer, and then one's kind of far away, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how often do you get to see your children?
Well, Joseph and Stephen, they come into town about every holiday. So, like, whether it be like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and things like that. So they tend to come, a couple times a year. And then my daughter, she visits frequently. She tends to visit me like probably 3 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say that you guys have a close relationship?
For sure, yeah. Me and my daughter have always had a very, close relationship. She's a papa's girl. So.
Oh, that's very sweet. And so you said that your kids all have families. Do you have any grandchildren?
Yes, I have. Let's see, 2, 1, and so I have 3, but 1 is on the way. My daughter, she's actually pregnant.
Oh
so.
my goodness! Well, congratulations to your daughter.
Thank you.
That's always really exciting. Okay, so you have 2 grandkids currently and 1 on the way. Okay. So from what I've heard so far, you are living by yourself in your house that you share with your wife of 56 years of marriage, which is such a huge feat. That's amazing. And she passed about a year ago, and it's been a struggle for you, but you've kind of picked up things like art and reading to pass by the time. But of course, that still doesn't fill like the empty space. And you have 3 children. One of them is in New York, and the other 2 are a little bit more in the area. And you have 3 grandchildren. 1 is on the way. And yeah, so that's what I've gathered a little bit so far. So can you tell me what you are kind of expecting, what you're wanting to gain out of this session?
Well, I was just kind of wanting to know, like, I don't know, I've heard a lot of really good things from my friends who've come to counseling who have, like, been able to, I guess they associate, like, the loneliness kind of like with depression. So, like, they've been able to find, like, what they call coping mechanisms and things like that to help them through their depression or through their, this feeling of loneliness and to kind of just get through things in a more better and positive light.
Okay, well, I think that's really awesome that you're taking the initiative to come here and kind of check on yourself, because your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And so I really commend you on that. And so I just kind of want to ask you to get to know a little bit more about like what exactly is going on. Can you tell me what normal day looks like for you?
Well, I wake up in the morning, I brew myself a cup of coffee, I have a smoke, so I have cigarettes, and I smoke one of those in the morning and then one before bed, but so I have a cigarette, I usually have like some toast or cereal or something like that for breakfast, then I watch TV, I usually watch like morning shows, like talk shows, and then after that, I usually tend to do like puzzle games, because they're supposed to help keep you sharp.
Right.
And then I usually try to either like, well, it depends. Like I might do some painting, I might do some drawing, I might do some reading. It just depends on the day. And then I tend to take a nap around the midday.
Okay.
and then it's time for like lunch because I usually don't eat that much. I don't do that much stuff to make me hungry, but I'll have mini snacks throughout the day, and then I'll have like a later lunch after my nap, and then after that I will kind of just chill like for until dinner time. Like I'll do a little bit of reading, a little bit of watching TV, stuff like that. Usually my daughter visits around like the evening time, and she'll have dinner with me.
Okay.
So
that's really sweet.
Yeah. And like I mentioned before, I'll have a cigarette before I go to bed.
And so it sounds like you kind of make yourself busy. Like even though you said that you're feeling kind of lonely, you keep yourself. It sounds like you have a pretty packed day. So that's really good. So can we go over? You mentioned that you came in here because you're kind of feeling lonely. What does loneliness look like to you?
Loneliness. I guess it just looks like, not having people around me. Even though, like, there's all these things that I can do, there's just, like, like no one there to enjoy them with. Like how I was mentioning with my wife, she was like, she was kind of my best friend and we would do everything together. Like if we would go out on walks together, and that would, like, that was like some of the best times. We had some of the best talks, and like we would do the painting and drawing. She was very artistic. She was actually an artist. So we would do that thing together, and she's the one who got me into that back when we were teenagers.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been doing it for a long time, so I imagine your paintings are actually, they must be really good.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but yeah, they're. I would say definitely from when I first started to now, they have advanced.
That's really nice. Okay. So, when exactly did you start to experience, these kind of feelings of loneliness to the point where it was just kind of really affecting you?
I would say it happened probably about 3 months after my wife's death. That's when like I started realizing, like I don't really have anybody to do anything with anymore. And that was actually when I ended up getting a hip injury because I used to go out with my friends a lot, and that kind of filled that feeling of emptiness and not having her there because I had other people there supporting me. And so I actually ended up getting a hip injury from a fall. I actually fell down the stairs at my house. And yeah, so I haven't been able to really go out with my friends as much as I would like to. Sometimes we'll have like, lunch, dinner, or something here and there, but we used to go on walks and hikes and stuff together. And with my hip, I just can't do that anymore.
I'm really sorry to hear that. So, how is the recovery for that coming along?
It's definitely a lot more healed than it was. I don't really know a lot about medical stuff, and my doctor said that it's doing a lot better, and that I'm still kind of in that healing process because being older, everything takes a little bit more time to heal. And he said that it might not fully, work the same way it used to ever again. So, yeah.
So did he give you kind of like a probability of chances that you might be able to do those things again, like hiking and things like that?
He said that I should be able to do that stuff. I just can't do anything really intensive. Like I used to go jogging and biking, and he said that the more intensive activities I would probably need to like, keep at a minimum or like to kind of just cancel out.
Right.
But he said I should be able to get back to walking, hiking, doing more normal, less intensive stuff soon.
That's great. I'm glad that it's coming along kind of nicely. So you said that you would spend a lot of time with your friends, after your wife passed. So it sounds like you have like a pretty good friend system because you mentioned that they're kind of the reason that you came here as well. Your friends kind of encouraged you because they had good results. So how would you say that your social support system is?
I would say that it's relatively strong. I do have my daughter. She is an amazing daughter. She, like I said, she visits me like 3 times out of the week, which is, out of a 7-day week, that's quite a bit.
Yeah,
especially since she is a nurse and she works 12-hour shifts at the hospital. So, yeah, and like my friend group, they're relatively a strong support system. I just don't get to see them as much as I would like to. I usually probably see them like once a week, even less sometimes. Since I'm not able to get out as much as I would like to. And then I have my 2 sons who, when they do visit during the holidays, it's really nice.
Okay. That sounds really nice. Seems like your daughter really prioritizes spending time with you, and that's very lovely. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit more about your family life? I know we talked about your sons and like you guys come together for holidays and your daughter spends time. Can you talk a little bit more about the relationships surrounding that?
So, uh, So what you're asking is like how.
Right. How is your relationship with your sons and also your um well, I don't know if your daughter's married, if your children have any significant partners, relationship with your grandchildren, things
Okay.
like that.
I have a very strong relationship with my grandchildren. Every time they come and visit, like, it's just bubbles of energy, bubbles of, just great. They're really amazing. They're just, they're kids. They have lots of energy. They always want to, like, hop on Grandpa's back, or, like, Grandpa do this, Grandpa do that, And then my relationship with both my sons has always been very strong ever since they were kids. And same with my daughter. She does have a husband. He's a really, really hardworking guy. He's usually, the thing about him is he's usually not home as much as she would like, because he's a businessman.
Mhm.
So he travels all over the world. He's currently in China right now, so doing business overseas over there. So that's kind of why she likes to visit a lot, because I feel like she also kind of feels that loneliness the same way I do, especially since with her pregnancy hormones.
Right. And is this her only child?
The one that is in her current womb, yes.
Okay. Wow. So I can imagine it's kind of probably been rough on her as well.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she's really happy to have her dad so close by.
Yeah, I guess, I do pride myself on being a good dad, so.
Oh, well, that's really nice. I'm sure she really appreciates that.
Yeah.
So something that I mentioned that we were going to go over some like papers and things like that. So one of the things that I want to do with you is actually called an eco map.
Okay.
So we're going to kind of go over. You're going to be like in the center. It's like little bubbles that we have here, and then we're going to talk about like different things that you do, relationships and stuff like that, that kind of like make you who you are and that surround you. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
All right. So I'm just going to put your name right here in the middle. And am I writing that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then I'll put your age here. And so we're just going to go over things that bring you energy and things that you give energy to. This is going to include positive and negative relationships and experiences as well. So one of the first things I was thinking we could put on here is your wife. I would imagine that would be the she'd be the person that kind of impacts you the most, right?
For sure.
Okay. And that was Suzanne, right?
Yes.
And you guys were married for 56 years, which I'm just still so amazed by that. And you would say that that was a very positive relationship for you, right?
Oh, yeah. That woman didn't have an evil bone in her body.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So you guys were very strong, and you would say that you both like gave each other energy. You said that you did everything together and things like that. Sounds like you had a really good relationship with her.
I did.
And then you have
great while it lasted.
Oh. And you have 3 children with and they were all with Suzanne, right?
Yes.
Okay. So do you think I should put them all together or put them separately?
I would definitely group them all together. Okay. They're all around the same age. They were all born within the same kind of 5-year period. So, and it was Steven. And then Susan.
Okay, so Joseph is the baby.
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned that you're very close with the 3 of them, but
yes,
you see Susan more often because she lives closer to you. But it's a positive relationship with all 3 of your children.
Oh yes, very positive.
And you would say that like you give energy to them and they kind of bring it back to you in a positive way?
Yes.
Okay. So do your sons like call up and check on you sometimes, things like that?
Yes, they call me probably more than I ever think about calling them. They tend to call me about almost the same time as much as like Susan visits, probably about like 3 times a week as well.
That's actually really nice. Usually boys aren't as attentive, but I think you got the better part of the batch, I guess.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Yeah, some boys, like my son's boys, they're very rowdy, and he was never like that as a child.
Oh, really? So I guess he got a little challenge then. So I'm going to put your friends here too, because you mentioned that you guys would always spend time together. You would go for hikes and things like that. But since your hip injury, you guys have resorted to kind of, you said you try to get together once a week and you guys eat out. And what other things do you guys do?
Well, a couple of my friends actually enjoy painting like I do, and so like we would go out and paint together, and many of them enjoy photography, which I have actually started to get into a little bit myself because I find that as an art form as well.
Right. Yeah.
I would definitely say the relationship with this one is strong, but I would say that because currently I'm not able to put as much energy into them, and usually when they want to hang out, they'll come to my house.
Mhm.
So I would definitely say the relationship is strong, but I feel like they put more energy into me than I put into them.
Okay. But in the past, you feel like it was kind of more equal.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And then I'm going to go ahead and put your hip injury on here because I'm sure that's been kind of like a life altering
Pivotal. Yeah.
for you. Okay. And that was how long ago?
It happened, well, my wife died a year ago, so this happened about 3 months afterwards, so about 8 months roughly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Months ago. And so that's kind of stopped you from being able to do some of the things that you really enjoyed.
Mhm.
So it would be like a relationship that's kind of taken from you.
Yeah, definitely stressful.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What else could we put in here?
Well, let's see. I don't work anymore. I'm retired, but I do. I guess you could say as a work because like I do sell some of my artwork for commission.
Okay.
So I guess you could say like that's in itself I'm making money from it, so it is in
Alright.
itself a job. So
Okay. That's very nice.
Mhm.
And where do you do that at?
I make the artwork at my home, and then my daughter actually set up an online store for me. She is very technically, knowledgeable, unlike myself, because she was able to set up my own website, and she helps me put the listings on there and take pictures of the artwork and determine how much it should be sold for and everything like that. So
Oh wow.
it can be very tedious at times though,
Oh.
and kind of stressful because like she's like, Dad, you need to get this artwork like this one done, or like we gotta get this packaged, or you gotta get this for this, and sometimes it can be a little bit stressful.
I imagine.
Yeah.
But would you say that it's a positive kind of addition to your life?
I would say it's a little bit tenuous, just a little.
Yes. Okay, just a little. So it kind of takes from you.
Yeah.
So how is it kind of like, has it been successful? How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for about 5 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it started with me and my wife's both of our artworks because she had her own like studio, and she also like sold her arts in like actual like auctions. But the pieces that she felt more like weren't like, well, I wouldn't say auction worthy, but like that she felt weren't like appealing to the audience that she was trying to attract, she would sell them online on the art store with me later on in her career when she got older.
Wow. So art has been a huge part in your life.
Yes.
You mentioned that your wife got you into it when you guys were teenagers. So is it okay if I put that on here?
Yes.
Okay. And all different types of art. I mean, you're selling it, you do it for fun. Did you get your friends into it, or did you kind of meet them through art?
I kind of met some of them through art. Some of them I got them into art because they were and some of them, like I said, they also visited counseling centers like this before, and their counselors got them into art, and I think that's great because art is amazing.
It is, and it's a great form of therapy as well. It's a great coping mechanism too, I think. So you would say that it's a relationship. Would you say that art gives you energy?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. But then the selling art is what takes
a little bit more out of me. I guess it's because I'm getting older and it's getting a little bit more tiring.
Oh, I can imagine, yeah. And then do you get like custom orders and things like that?
Yes.
Okay.
So those can be very specific. Like
some
people are like, I want a rose with a ruby inside of it or something crazy.
Wow. Yeah, people have interesting imaginations. They just, that's really cool that you're able to, create. I'm sure that they really appreciate that you're able to make their imaginations or dreams come to life. I think that's really cool. So when we were talking earlier about what your everyday life looked like, you mentioned that you always have a smoke, and one in the morning and one before you go to bed. So would you say that that's a significant part of your life?
I would definitely say it has a huge part in my life. It's definitely something that I use to relax.
Okay.
It's something like I usually actually, if I don't smoke before I go to sleep, it's really hard to sleep.
Okay.
So.
And how long have you been smoking?
Probably for about 30 years.
30 years? That is a very long time. Okay. So, did your wife smoke as well, or?
No, she did not, and she was not very fond when I got into it.
She didn't like you doing
No.
that, right? Okay. So, did you how was so you smoked 2 a day? Did that change at all when your wife passed?
Yes, actually. I used to only smoke 1 a day.
Okay.
And then after her death, I started doing the smoking before bedtime. I used to just smoke 1 in the morning habitually with my coffee. But then once she passed away, it got harder and harder to fall asleep. And so I ended up using them as a way to help me relax before I went to sleep.
Okay. So would you say that smoking kind of gives you energy or takes from you?
I would definitely say that I would say it's like very like stressful, and that I don't feel like there's any energy going between. Like, yeah, it makes me calm down, but I feel like I said, Susanna, she didn't like it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then is it something that you're wanting to stop doing?
Yeah, for sure. It's something that I definitely feel like is, like I said, stressful for me, and that I probably should find something more healthier to replace.
How do your children feel about
it? They don't like it. They never have. I started smoking like once they were older, and they were kind of like, Dad, like why'd you start smoking? And for me, it just became like a habitual thing. Like my buddies, they smoke. So I one time was like, hey man, do you want to smoke? And I was like, yeah, sure, like, like whatever. And then the coffee and the smoking in the morning thing just came together.
Right. It just kind of happened. You formed a habit. Okay. But but you said that it is something that you would like to kind of take out of your life.
Yes.
Okay. And has your doctor said anything about it?
Yeah, he said to me, Simon, hey buddy, look, like, you're getting up there in age. He didn't say it like that, but that's what he meant. And he was like, you should stop smoking. It's probably in your best interest to quit smoking. And he told me all the cons of it, and showed me, the nasty pictures of people's lungs who've been smoking for 30 years. Everybody says it's going to give you cancer, but, yeah. And that definitely is something that's fearful for me.
For sure. Right.
I don't want cancer, anything like that. I don't want my lungs to look like that, even though they probably already do. But, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're wanting to make a change about it. That's a step in the right direction. So far on here, Simon, we have your hip injury that happened 8 months ago. It's kind of been something that's taken energy from you. It's obviously been a negative experience. You're not able to do a lot of the things that you used to do. Your exercise sounds like you were very active, and it's kind of taken that from you. But hopefully, you will get back to the point.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be able to do those things again. And then you have your friends as well. You guys spend time together. Sounds like they're a really positive influence in your life. They encourage you to come here.
Yes.
And you guys do things together like eating out, painting, and photography, which is also really nice. You keep yourself busy, and you feel like kind of like they give you more energy, especially since your hip injury. You feel like you haven't been able to put as much into that. Then you have your 3 children that you love very dearly, and they give you energy, and you give it to them as well. And it's just kind of an overall very positive relationship. And it seems like they really prioritize you and care for you.
Yes.
I really admire that. And your wife, Susanna, 56 years, passed away a year ago.
Yeah.
So that's been very difficult for you because she was a huge part of your life. It seems like you guys did everything together, your art, and then selling the art that you guys did together, that your daughter set up for you guys, like a way to sell it, which is very, very creative and awesome.
Mm.
And then a negative aspect has been smoking, but you are wanting to make a change, which is more than 50%. It's a great step in the right direction. So, is there anything else on here that you think we should put on here?
I guess this is recreation. I guess you could put, I do really love to exercise.
Okay.
Right. Which, because like I do, like that Pilates thing.
Okay,
My
Pilates.
daughter got me into it.
Oh, I like Pilates. I think it's very helpful.
And she also got me a little bit into like yoga and that, I always like to call it the elderly people dancing, like they have all those older people on there doing the dance stuff, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it sounds really nice. It's a good way for you to keep, it's not the same as the strenuous activities that sound like you did, but it's a good way for you to keep active. Do you feel like ever since you started doing that, you've noticed a difference with your hip?
Yes, definitely with my hip and my attitude.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I feel like I'll wake up in the morning, I'll smoke a cigarette. I guess I didn't mention this when you said that what about my daily routine. I just didn't think about it. But I'll wake up in the morning, I'll have my cigarette, my coffee, and I'll usually do, when I mentioned TV, one of the things I'll do is I'll turn on one of the Pilates things or the yoga things, the dance things that my daughter's bought me, and I'll exercise in the morning. And I try to exercise twice a day, but usually it's only once.
Okay, right. Well, that's really nice that you even try to even do it once a day. That's really great. And so that's been like a really positive addition to your life. You said that it's improved your mood. I think that's really great because exercise has been proven to improve mood. I mean, like it helps you on the inside, it helps you on the outside. So that's very, very great. So I just went over everything that we had on here, and then we also added exercise. Is it looking good to you so far?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay. Awesome. So we're going to put that in here, and we're just going to have this as a resource just so we can notice like what we've gone over here, and then also so I can remember everything that you've told me, and that we can see what kind of goals we want to create and things like that.
All right.
Excuse me.
Oh, you're perfectly fine.
Thank you. Okay, so of all the things that we've gone over here today, I guess I kind of want to create some goals and objectives as we're coming to a close in our session.
All right.
So what are some of the things that you are really wanting to focus on?
I'm really wanting to focus, I guess, since we brought it up, like my my smoking. I feel like it, like I said, it's very stressful, and I feel like it almost kind of contributes a little bit to like my my like stress, or like I know that I said it relaxes me, but I feel like it's just perpetuating that feeling because like I'm always expecting the smoke before to bed before so I can go to sleep. But I feel like there's other things in my life that are also very relaxing, so I don't need smoking.
Right.
I feel like, my art and the exercise, all of that is very relaxing to me.
Right.
So that's something I could do before bed.
Right.
So like I definitely see that as something I want to stop, and I also want to start something in that thing's place, in smoking's place.
That's a very good idea. So that it will be kind of like replace one behavior with another.
Yeah.
So I'll put that down here, and then is there anything that you can think of? You mentioned that you feel lonely sometimes despite everything that you have going on. What are some things that you think that might be able to kind of help you deal with that?
Well, with my loneliness, well, I definitely feel like when I do things like exercise and art and I spend more time with my friends, that definitely is something that makes my loneliness, like lessen. I definitely feel like I don't even really need people. I feel like more so it's like I need just things that are going to I don't really know how to word it, but just those things in my life that are going to prevent that feeling from coming. Because I feel like that feeling is probably more contributory to like more of the negative things that I do. Because like I tend to like think about like how I mentioned before, like I can't go out like because of my hip,
Right.
or or the smoking. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. So you do have a lot of positive uh, habits in your life, despite the smoking, and even though you have your hip exercise, you still managed to remain super active, which is really good for your health.
Mhm.
So in our in the smoking issue, let's create a goal that that is attainable, and also that is specific, so that we're more likely to go through with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you smoke twice a day.
Yeah.
So what is something that you want to do this week to lessen that?
So I guess I could fill that time with something else that I really enjoy. So in the mornings, I could do a painting in the morning, or I could exercise in the morning, or something. I would probably say art, because in the mornings, that's kind of when I wake up and I have a lot of ideas running through my mind. I'm like, oh, I could paint this. Oh, I could do this.
Mhm.
So I feel like definitely like waking up in the morning and doing something like painting to instead of smoking, or I could definitely even like do art before I go to sleep, or exercise before I go to sleep.
Okay, that sounds great. So this week you are going to try. Why don't we put like a specific number on it? So we'll say that every day, one because you smoke twice a day.
Yeah.
So every day this week, you're gonna try for one of those times. You can pick the morning or the night to replace it.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
can still smoke the one time, but we'll try and see if we can replace it. And obviously, we'll come back next week and see how it went for you. It's not going to be easy, just like ending it, because you've been doing it for a very long time. But we just want to see, how this is going to work out for you. So does that sound like something that you'd like to do?
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Because like I definitely feel like once I don't have it, I'm definitely gonna. Even though art is very relaxing for me, like I'm so used to it and having the nicotine, that it's gonna be really hard. So I definitely feel like replacing the one of the times I smoke with something will be really useful.
Okay. And then something else that I also want to mention to you is that our facility does offer kind of like rehabilitation services and like support groups, because there are many there are people like you who smoke as well, who are trying to get off of it. So I don't know if that'd be something that you'd be interested in, coming here and having like meetings with other people who are having withdrawals as well.
Oh, I would love that.
Okay.
Especially like since having other people involved, that'd be awesome.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure that there is a meeting this week. Actually, I think it's Thursdays at 5. They have it every week, Thursdays at 5. Is that a time that you'd be available?
Yeah, that'd be perfect, and that actually works for the time I usually like have a smoke, because I'll usually at 5 o'clock I will eat and I will smoke, or not 5 o'clock. I'll eat around 4 o'clock, and then 5 o'clock I'll usually smoke, and then by like 6:30 I'm asleep.
Okay. Wow, you go to sleep very early.
Yeah, as I've gotten older, I just can't stay awake as like I used to, and I'll wake up super early in the morning. I wake up at like 6 a.m. So.
Okay, wow. No, that's really good. You get your sleep, that's for sure. That's not an issue here. So for two of the goals or objectives that we're going to create is that, so we'll say that you will replace you will try to replace uh, one smoke a day with an activity such as exercise or art.
Yes.
Okay.
Or the meeting. That works too.
Or meeting. And then we'll also write here that you will attend the meeting this week at Thursday.
Yes.
Okay. And then this will just be like a trial basis thing. We can talk about it next week when you come back at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
That works for you. Okay. Then we'll talk about it, and see if you enjoyed it or not. It doesn't have to be something that you just have to keep on. It's all up to you, because everybody goes through their things differently. So we're just going to see how it works for you. But a lot of people have had very positive results from the meeting. So hopefully it will go good for you. I will attend meeting Thursday at 5 p.m. Okay, good. So then, do these seem like two goals that are very attainable for you to be able to do this week?
Yeah,
Okay.
very.
Okay, awesome. So then, could I get your signature right here?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Simon. Well, you have very nice penmanship.
Thank you.
Man, I kind of don't want to put mine next to yours. It's not going to look as good. Okay. So we have this
Oh, do you
here.
need me to date that as well? I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, you can do that. I can.
11/1.
Can you believe it's already November?
Yeah, I know. I can't. It's
Oh.
almost unfathomable. Because I felt like I felt like it was October the 1st yesterday, so.
I know, it's crazy. But Thanksgiving is coming up, so you're going to see your sons.
Yes, I am. I'm very excited.
Nice. That's
Mhm.
great. And so I was really happy to meet you today, Stephen. I think it went really well, our session together. Did everything feel okay to you? Do you have any questions for me?
It went really well. I really appreciated my time with you. I definitely even feel better after the session already. And it was a pleasure to meet you, and I can't wait to see you for our next session.
I'm really glad to hear that. I hope you have a wonderful day, Simon.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Goodbye.